Have you ever felt that the more you try to please her, the less she seems to desire you? It's a deeply unsettling paradox, one that many successful, experienced men face in silence. You offer your stability, your resources, and your unwavering support, the very things you believe should make you more attractive, only to find yourself met with a polite but passionless distance. You're being the good guy, the provider, the logical problem solver, yet you can feel the polarity between you fading. This isn't a failure of your character, it's a failure to understand a fundamental unspoken rule of attraction. A rule that dictates that sometimes the kindest gesture is the very thing that quietly erodes her respect and desire for you. This dynamic is a silent killer of attraction, and it preys most often on men who have already built a life. Men like you. You've accumulated wisdom, navigated complex challenges, and earned your place in the world. Yet you find yourself navigating a landscape of attraction whose rules seem to have changed without notice. You fear being seen as the provider but not the partner, the reliable friend but not the passionate lover. You're caught between not wanting to be a predator and refusing to be a placeholder. The good news is that your maturity is not a liability. It is your single greatest asset. You simply haven't been taught how to use it in the language she secretly understands and desperately craves. In this video, we are not going to talk about money, status, or being a provider. This isn't about learning lines or playing games. It's about understanding the fundamental emotional language she speaks, a language that has nothing to do with your bank account and everything to do with your ability to make her feel both profoundly safe and thrillingly alive. It is a language of leadership, not control, of presence, not presence. As your host, Dr. Emma Madison, I've dedicated my career to decoding these unspoken signals. It's a pleasure to connect, and I'm always curious to see where this conversation leads. Feel free to share which city or state you're watching from in the comments. It's wonderful to see this community grow. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal 5 foundational things women secretly want from an older man, but will almost never ask for directly. These aren't just preferences, they are deep, often subconscious drivers of respect and desire. We will move from the obvious to the subtle, from simple adjustments to profound shifts in your mindset. Each point builds on the last, creating a complete picture of the man she secretly hopes you are. But I must caution you, pay close attention to the end, because the 5th secret is the most powerful and counterintuitive of all. It's the single element that can amplify all the others or render them completely useless. Missing it is the difference between being liked and being utterly unforgettable. What you're about to learn isn't a collection of dating tactics. It's a fundamental paradigm shift in your understanding of female desire. You will learn to see past the surface-level conversations and decode the subcommunications that truly dictate her attraction to you. This is about moving from a state of anxious uncertainty, where you're constantly trying to guess what she wants, to a state of grounded, masculine certainty. We are going to replace the frustrating cycle of pleasing, providing, and being politely pushed away with a new framework. A framework that allows you to lead, to create polarity, and to become the man she not only wants, but deeply respects, without you ever having to ask for it. This is your transformation from provider to paramour. By the time our journey concludes, you will not only know the 5 secrets, you will embody them. You'll finally understand why being the nice guy who solves all her problems can inadvertently kill the very passion you're trying to ignite. You will gain the ability to interpret her silences, to recognize her subtle invitations for you to lead, and to create an emotional landscape where she feels free to be her feminine self because she trusts your masculine core. This isn't about manipulating her. It's about understanding her so deeply that she feels seen, safe, and irresistibly drawn to the powerful, mature man you are. You will stop trying to be what you think she wants and start being the man she secretly hopes you are. As a woman and as a researcher who has spent years listening to the private, unfiltered conversations women have with each other, I can tell you this. The code of female desire isn't written in a language of logic. It's a language of feeling, of atmosphere, of subcommunication. The biggest mistake an intelligent, successful man makes is trying to read a poem like it's a legal contract. You search for definitive clauses and clear-cut signs, while she is communicating in rhythm, tone, and metaphor. My role here is not to give you a dictionary, but to teach you how to hear the music. It's to guide you past the surface-level words and actions and attune your senses to the underlying patterns, the consistent emotional truths that reveal her deepest wants. This requires a shift in your perception. You must stop looking for a single, isolated gesture, a touch, a smile, a specific phrase, and start recognizing the landscape. What is the context? What is the timing? How does her energy shift when you are decisive versus when you are passive? A single action is just a data point. A pattern is a story. She might say she's fine, but is her body language open or closed? Is her silence relaxed or tense? Is she testing your resolve or genuinely seeking your input? These are the nuances that men often miss because they are listening for answers, when they should be feeling for resonance. Understanding this is the first step to moving from a man she likes to a man she viscerally respects and desires. Think of me as your guide on the inside, translating the subtle yet powerful dynamics you experience but can't always articulate. The wisdom you've gained in your life has trained you to solve problems, to be direct, and to build tangible things. These are admirable qualities, but when applied incorrectly in the dance of attraction, they can feel like control, not leadership, like pressure, not presence. The secrets we are about to uncover are not about changing who you are. They are about learning to apply your inherent masculine strength in a way that doesn't just solve her problems, but that actually makes her feel more like a woman in your presence. Let's begin with the first thing she secretly wants. The first secret is the one most well-intentioned men get wrong, because it feels counterintuitive to your protective instincts. It's the secret of decisive leadership. A woman doesn't secretly want to be in charge of every plan, every decision, every moment of your time together. When you constantly ask, "What do you want to do? Where do you want to go?" you believe you are being considerate and collaborative. But what she often feels is the weight of emotional labor. You are handing her the mental load of being the social architect of the relationship, a role that forces her into her logistical, masculine brain. She doesn't want a dictator, but she craves a leader. She wants to feel that you have a plan, that you have put thought into creating an experience for her, allowing her to let go and simply exist in the moment with you. This isn't about making unilateral decisions that ignore her feelings. It's about confidently initiating a direction. The difference is subtle but profound. Instead of asking, "What should we do for dinner tonight?" which places the burden of choice entirely on her, a leader says, "I want to take you out tonight. Wear that dress you love. Be ready at 8. You see the shift? The second option communicates thoughtfulness, desire, and a clear intention to create a special experience. It liberates her from the tyranny of endless choices and allows her to relax into her feminine energy, trusting that you are capably steering the ship. It demonstrates that you are willing to invest your energy and creativity into the relationship, which is a far more powerful currency than money. This proactive leadership is a fundamental aphrodisiac for the feminine soul. This principle of leadership extends far beyond just planning dates. It's about how you navigate challenges as a couple, how you handle unexpected obstacles, and how you create a sense of forward momentum in your shared life. It is the invisible frame that holds the relationship, making her feel that she is with a man who is actively building a world, not just passively participating in one. But this kind of leadership is only the first layer. What happens when your well-laid plans go awry? When the world introduces chaos? The answer to that question reveals the second and arguably more powerful secret she desires from you, an element that separates the men from the boys in the most definitive way possible. That second secret is emotional stability. She needs you to be her rock, not her sponge. When she is a whirlwind of emotion, frustrated, anxious, upset, or even irrationally angry, her soul isn't looking for you to join her in the storm. She is subconsciously testing to see if the emotional walls of the relationship are sturdy. She needs to know that you can handle the full force of her feminine emotional spectrum without crumbling, getting defensive, or trying to fix her. When you absorb her chaos and become anxious or angry yourself, you signal that the container is not safe. You prove that your emotional state is dependent on hers, which creates a deep-seated feeling of instability for her. She cannot fully relax if she feels she has to manage your emotions in addition to her own. Consider this classic scenario. She comes home after a terrible day, venting about a conflict with a coworker. The typical male response is to jump into problem-solving mode, offering logical solutions, strategies, and advice. To you, you're being helpful. To her, you're invalidating her feelings and subtly communicating that her emotional state is a problem to be solved. The emotionally stable man, the rock, does something radically different. He simply listens. He lets her pour it all out without interruption. He doesn't offer solutions. Instead, he validates the emotion itself. A simple, calm, "That sounds like a miserable day," followed by a comforting physical presence, a hand on her back, a steady gaze, is infinitely more powerful. He solves the feeling, not the problem, making her feel seen, heard, and safe. This capacity to remain a calm center in her emotional storm is what allows her to experience the full, beautiful, and sometimes messy range of her femininity without fear. Your steadfastness becomes the backdrop against which she can dance, rage, and laugh, knowing she will always find her way back to solid ground, you. This builds a level of trust that is almost unbreakable. But here is the crucial transition you must understand. While safety and trust are the foundation of a lasting bond, they are not the entirety of attraction. The next secret is where many safe, stable men falter, because it requires you to move beyond the comfort of the harbor and into the exhilarating and sometimes dangerous currents of raw desire. The third and perhaps most misunderstood secret is the necessity of unapologetic polarity. In your effort to be a respectful modern man, you may have inadvertently scrubbed away the very masculine edge that ignites her desire. She does not want a friend, a roommate, or a business partner. She has plenty of those. From you, she secretly craves the resonant thrum of sexual tension. She wants to feel, on a visceral level, that you are a man and she is a woman, and that this difference is not just acknowledged but celebrated. This polarity is the engine of passion. Many older men, fearing they might come across as predatory or inappropriate, retreat into a safe, neutered pleasantness. They stop initiating, they temper their flirtation, and they treat the woman they desire with a kind of sterile reverence that is the very antithesis of seduction. This is a fatal mistake. She needs to feel the spark of your specific intention towards her. This isn't about being crude, aggressive, or disrespectful. It's about the art of subcommunication. It's in the way your eyes hold hers for a beat longer than normal. It's the deliberate, confident way you place your hand on the small of her back to guide her through a crowded room. It's in the low rumble of your voice when you give her a specific, non-platonic compliment. These are the actions that create a magnetic charge between you, a silent conversation happening just beneath the surface of your words. You, as the masculine presence, are responsible for generating this charge. If you don't build the tension, you can't expect her to feel the release. Understanding this is the key to moving from the friend zone to the end zone. But even this is not enough. Creating tension is a powerful skill. But the next secret is what gives that tension meaning and direction. It's a deeper, more refined layer of perception that separates a temporary flirtation from a deep, soul-level attraction. It requires you to look past the surface and recognize something far more intrinsic, something she herself may not even be fully conscious of, yet desperately wants you to see. This next step is about moving from creating polarity to providing profound, specific validation. This brings us to the fourth secret. She wants you to validate her unique femininity. This is a concept that is often confused with simple flattery, but it operates on a much deeper psychological level. Any man can tell her she's beautiful, and while she may appreciate the sentiment, it's a generic currency that quickly loses its value. What a woman truly craves, what makes her feel seen in a way that is utterly intoxicating, is specific, observant validation of her feminine essence. This isn't about her physical attributes alone. It's about the unique constellation of traits that make her the woman she is. It's noticing the way her mind works through a problem, the mischievous glint in her eye before she tells a joke, or the quiet grace with which she handles a stressful situation. When you say, "I love the way you can command a room with your intelligence," and then completely melt when you see a puppy, you are communicating something profound. You are telling her that you are paying attention, that you are a man of discernment who is not just looking at her, but is truly seeing her. You are appreciating the beautiful paradoxes and complexities of her character. This kind of specific validation is a mirror you hold up to her, reflecting back the best, most unique parts of her feminine soul. It makes her feel cherished for who she is, not just for what she looks like. This act of deep seeing is one of the most powerful gifts a mature, observant man can offer. This level of validation creates a bond that transcends superficial attraction. It builds a sanctuary of emotional intimacy where she feels safe to be her most authentic self. However, there is one final secret, the most powerful and counterintuitive of all. It is the element that anchors all the others, giving them weight and substance. Without it, even the most masterful execution of the first 4 secrets will eventually feel hollow. This final secret is the ultimate key to earning her lasting respect and unwavering desire, because it is the one thing that has absolutely nothing to do with her. The 5th and final secret, the one that underpins them all, is that she secretly wants you to have an unshakable purpose. A woman is most attracted to a man who is already in motion, a man with a mission in his life that is bigger than she is. This is the great paradox of desire. She wants to be an incredibly important part of your life, but she never wants to be the entirety of your life. Your purpose, your business, your creative passion, your dedication to a cause, is the ultimate source of your masculine energy. It is the North Star that guides you, the fire that fuels you, and the anchor that keeps you steady in any storm. It is the silent, powerful force that makes your leadership authentic and your stability real. A man whose sole purpose is to make a woman happy inadvertently places a tremendous burden upon her. He becomes a satellite orbiting her, his happiness and identity contingent on her approval. This neediness, however well-intentioned, is the enemy of attraction. It slowly erodes her respect because he has lost his own center. Conversely, a man on a mission is inherently magnetic. His time is valuable. His attention is a gift. When he chooses to share his world with her, it feels meaningful. She can relax into her own life, pursue her own passions, and trust that he is not looking to her to be his source of identity or entertainment. She is free to admire him, and for a woman, admiration is the air that desire breathes. Let's bring this to life with a scene you've likely experienced. Imagine you've planned a perfect evening. The reservation is set, the night is planned. This is decisive leadership. But you arrive and the restaurant has lost your booking. The amateur man panics. He gets angry, frustrates, or, worst of all, turns to her with defeated eyes and asks, "Well, what do you want to do now?" He has just failed her test. He has shown that his leadership is conditional, and his emotional state is fragile. The man she craves, however, barely registers it as a problem. He offers a slow, confident smile, a silent communication that says, "I've got this." He turns to her, not for a solution but for connection, and says, "An adventure, then. I know a place that's even better." He leads, and she can finally, truly relax. Now consider a quieter moment, a conversation over a drink. This is where unapologetic polarity and validating her femininity converge. A platonic friend will sit at a safe distance, asking polite, interview-style questions. A man, however, closes the distance. He creates an intimate bubble. He doesn't just listen to her words. He watches the way her expression changes, the way she gestures, the way a strand of hair falls across her face. He creates tension not with what he says, but with the intensity of his focused presence. Then, instead of a generic compliment like, "You're so smart," he waits for a pause and says something deeply observant. "I love the subtle way you smile to yourself right before you're about to make a clever point." He's not validating her accomplishment. He's validating her unique feminine way of being in the world. This is what she will remember. Finally, let's explore unshakable purpose. A man without a mission treats a woman like his purpose, which feels like a cage to her. A man with a mission integrates her into his world. When he is focused on his work, he is not apologetic or distant. He is simply occupied. He might send a short message. "Deep in a project today, thinking of you. We'll call you tonight." This isn't a plea for permission. It's a statement of fact from a man in motion. The key is that when he finishes his work and turns his attention to her, it is total. Because his time is valuable and his focus is finite, the act of him choosing to spend it completely on her becomes infinitely more meaningful. She is not the center of his universe, but she is the most important destination within it. This is the foundation of deep, lasting respect. It is crucial, however, to understand that these are not rigid, mechanical inputs that guarantee a specific output. The most dangerous mistake you can make now is to turn this knowledge into a new source of anxiety, analyzing every gesture and word with a desperate need for confirmation. This is not a checklist. A woman's silence does not always mean she is testing your emotional stability. Sometimes it simply means she is tired. Her desire for you to lead does not mean she has no opinions. Context is everything. These are principles, not prescriptions. Your goal is to develop a calibrated intuition, to feel the overall emotional weather of your interactions, not to obsess over every single cloud. To treat this as a rigid formula is to replace one form of awkwardness with another, more calculated one. Furthermore, you must guard against the tendency to interpret ambiguity through the lens of wishful thinking. Just because you are now creating polarity does not mean every polite smile is a hidden invitation, nor does every delayed text response signify a test of your purpose. Reading profound intention into every mundane interaction is a fast path to miscalculation and frustration. The purpose of this knowledge is not to make you a psychic, but to make you more grounded in your own masculine frame. It is to liberate you from needing her constant validation, not to make you dependent on a new set of covert signals. True confidence comes from acting on these principles because they are authentic to you, not because you expect a specific, immediate reaction. And this is where all 5 secrets converge into a single, profound truth, the most revealing insight of all. It is not a thing you do, but a state of being you must embody. She doesn't secretly want a safe man. She wants a dangerous man who has chosen to be safe with her. Your decisive leadership, your emotional stability, and your unshakable purpose make you the rock, the harbor she can always return to. But your unapologetic polarity and your ability to validate her femininity are the storm, the thrilling, untamed energy that reminds her you are not just a provider, but a primal force of masculine desire. A woman never feels more alive than when she is in the presence of a man who has mastered his own chaos. A man who is both the unbreakable anchor and the exhilarating open sea. Her deepest unspoken desire is for the man who is powerful enough to be dangerous, but loves her enough to be her sanctuary. And so, you now hold the architecture of desire. You understand that your maturity is not a handicap, but a source of immense power when channeled correctly. You see the landscape of attraction not as a series of random encounters, but as a dynamic dance of polarity, leadership, stability, and purpose. This is the difference between being a man she likes and the man she viscerally respects and cannot forget. But understanding the principles of what to build is only half the equation. It's equally, if not more, critical to understand the subtle behaviors that can tear it all down in an instant. The most well-intentioned men make silent mistakes that unknowingly communicate weakness and kill attraction. That is why the journey doesn't end here. In the very next video, we will explore the other side of this coin, the 5 unforgivable mistakes that make her lose respect for you, even when you think you're doing everything right. Click on the video that's appearing on your screen now. Don't just learn how to build the temple, learn how to protect it from crumbling.